Greetings! I'm back with another stream. Let's see where we got to last time, which was, I think, did it even compile? I think I left it in a fairly dodgy state because I got a little bit brain fried. But yeah, it can make blocks and it crashes sometimes. That's good too. It crashes when it goes over the boundary. Well, yeah, that does work. And if I go to a different orientation, it generally seems to work. But it doesn't quite work because when I got to adjusting the position by the room size both there and here I just hacked it with a big else if chain, and down here I couldn't face doing the same thing again, so I left the stream at a rather confusing point, but I had a good think about it today and I think I know how to pick out the right length on the right dimension from the right reference frame in a reasonably concise bit of code, although I don't know if it will be branchless. As always, taking song requests. If you want a tune, I can. But okay, probably good to bring up MS Paint and go over what the problem was yesterday and what the solution is. So, in this game, you're in a tesseract, and everything has its own reference frame. So you're inside the surface of the tesseract. And I'm going to draw one of these diagrams, even though I don't really think these diagrams are particularly good for really explaining anything. Whoa, that was sloppy. Well, whatever. So you're in the surface of the tesseract, and that's modeled as 8 cubes, all of which are like a little voxel room, almost like a Minecraft chunk, just one box with some stuff in it. And when you go off the edge of one room, it's like if you're in one room of the tesseract and you go to the next room, it puts you into another room, but seamlessly. However, your reference frame will follow the holonomy of the tesseract, so your reference frame will be consistent. However, the more room transitions you do, the more your reference frame will get rotated and all over the place, which is the kind of the thing of the game. However, the voxels in the rooms are always specified in a certain reference frame. They have a basis reference frame, which is specified just right at the top here. Each side of the tesseract is just given a reference frame, which is the side that it's on, which is going to match the room number for now and probably ever. And then 3 coordinates. And when I say reference frame, I'm just going over this is a little bit of revision. When I say reference frame, I mean you have, for example, something you consider upwards. Now in the game, everything will have different gravities, so everything will have a different concept of what is up. And the same with what is forwards and what is to the right. So upright and forwards makes a reference frame. So you might consider up is y, which is normally what it is. Positive y is up. But if you're upside down, you might consider negative y to be up. And that's what these 3 things are. So if you're in the positive x side of the tesseract, your x-axis is negative y, your y-axis is negative z, and your z-axis is negative w. So that's super clear. So when you move from one room to another, your coordinates are going to change. And as a result, it should be seamless. But yeah, the bit that's complicated is what do you change the coordinates by? If it's a cube, every length is the same. For example, if they're all 32 units wide, tall, deep, then you change your whatever. If you move over the x, move outside of a room by what you consider x, you move your x coordinate back by 32 for the next room. That's fine. But if it's a cuboid where all the sizes are all over the place, then how much do you move your coordinates by? And I came up with this. This is probably wrong for a hypercuboid. I tried, yeah. So this is trying to find voxels that are paired together between rooms. For example, in the gap between rooms, the voxels should be consistent, which they kind of are, because this code seems to work. Or does it? Maybe not. That one seems to crash a lot. Yeah, you can see how the green voxels and the blue voxels are in sync. You don't want them out of sync because it's just fiddlier. This one seems to always crash. That's interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. Because it shouldn't always crash. Shall I look at that now before I get on? Yeah, let's just look at that right now. Let's look at that right now. It's an assertion failure, so it should be pretty easy. Yeah. So what is your voxel pause here? Oh, this stuff. Oh, how do you do it? Debug log. I really need to sort that out, so it's 32, 15, and 10. Oh. Room pause here. Is that, and what got added onto it? Well, if we go into this function, I guess we'll see. Oh, I see the problem. It's a pretty easy problem. And it's probably a bit academic because I'm going to replace this code anyway. So it's room position plus some amount on the z-axis. It's going to dot this axis here, which is going to be the side of the cube you're on. Oh, that definitely doesn't work. With that size. Yeah, I mean that's just completely wrong. That could be positive W. And then you just get 0 in this axis. Okay, so this code is just wrong. It's not just wrong for cuboids, that's just straight up wrong. But that's okay, it's kind of close to correct. And what we want to do is adjust the camera, first of all, because I want to be the very best. What I want to do is fix it and then try and make a hypercuboid. and that could be real exciting. There's some loud motors going past. Boy racers are out. I don't know, you probably can hear them. So let's open Gedit. So say we're on some side of the hypercuboid. Oh, let's say we're on the negative x side. Then we have some axis, some... I'll just pull out, what is the negative x basis? Wow, it's... your xyz is that. Oh, what a mess. But you might be in a different reference frame. So say you're in some other reference frame. You're still inside negative x. But your reference frame is, you know, positive z. I should get a keyboard that has a working shift key. Negative y. Positive w. That might be a Carol, but let's just kind of assume it's not. Should still work even if it is, though. Right, so here's my reference frame. Here's the room reference basis. Basis reference frame. So say I'm looking at my Y. No, I'm looking at my x-axis. And I'm like, cool, how long is the room in the x-axis? Well, the x-axis is actually the z-axis in the tesseract, in the fourth dimension. Okay, that's cool. And in the basis reference frame, the z-axis represents the y-coordinate of the voxels. So I really want the height of the voxel space. So if I were to know what is the size of the x-axis, it would return the height. Because that's the x-axis, that's what I think the x-axis is. And positive z matches with this. And that is the y-coordinate. So that sounds quite fiddly to do, like to say, oh, okay, well if... So saying if it's x, then do x is kind of easy. You can get the positive z quite easily. But then finding out which of these is z and therefore what value it is, and then getting width, height, or depth depending on that. It sounds like that, maybe that would be a big if chain. And we don't want to do like a big, well, if it's this, then get the width, and if it's that or this, then get the height, and blah blah blah. That's all pain that we shouldn't have to deal with. But we can store the size of the face of the tesseract in a vec4, in a four-dimensional little thing. So let's just fill it in with 0, 0, 0, 0. So we know that x is actually negative w. So that's actually... I don't know about the positive and negatives here. So negative w would be the width. Height would go in the z. And negative y, depth would go there. So this is the vector we could store. And this 0 is simply the tesseract size, which we don't actually care about because this is just the surface of it. We don't care how big it is or whatever. I mean, you could work it out. It's just the width times the height times the depth times the missing coordinate. that you can find in another room is the internal volume of the tesseract. In meters to the power of 4. So now, but if it's like this, okay, the tesseract size is just going to be 0. Like, we don't care. You're never going to be querying that axis. Or if you are, I don't know. Things have gone badly for you. So let's say, hey, I want the size of what I consider to be the x-axis. Well, that would get positive z, which we can translate to a vec 4 of this form. And then we can dot it with that vector there. And we'll get the height, which is exactly what we want. And then we can multiply that through by a vec 3 of positive x, which will give us height 0, 0. So when we say, hey, we want to know how big the x-axis is, we can make a vector like this, which will have height in the x-axis. Perfect. That's what we want. So all we need to do is construct this thing, and that's probably easy. I'm thinking. Tried to slow down my speech so that I would have time to think, but I didn't really think of anything to say. So let's just keep that train going. So we've got this room size. I'm not sure if this is ever used correctly. This code currently compiles. If I take out the room size, how many places does it break? Yeah, that's correct there. That's initialized there. That's wrong. All of that is definitely wrong. All of that's definitely wrong. Okay, so it is used correctly. And that's lovely. So, size and so is what I was at. So we really want the basis size and the like 4D size. So that should be a vec 4. And I find it hard to separate these in my mind. This is the size of the face of the tesseract in 4D coordinates, which is, I want to call it 4D size, or true size, or real size, actual size, because it's like actual size. Never mind. Right. So okay, that's still going to cause a bunch of problems. So room basis size, I'm cool with that. And we really want to populate actual size. Now, going back to this, how would we generate this? It's really width times the X reference frames. Let's just say positive version. Do I have a way of making a reference frame axis positive? I've got an opposite function. Let's make an absolute function as well. It's an easy absolute. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need to get rid of the first bit. So there we go. Okay. So the actual size is going to be vec4 of the basis x times voxels width plus the same for y and z. And that is not at all correct. That's the function name to vec4. The basis is the matrix. It's RF for reference frame. Y and Z, width, height, depth, and these are size t's, so let's just chuck them in the floats for just now. I think that should be correct. Okay, maybe we'll get an actual size. Okay, I still also broke a bunch of things, so I have to fix all of them, which is easy enough. Basis size, cool. Voxel pause. Room pause is in the basis, so we can use the basis size there. Let's just say this is all completely garbage, so move that aside for just now. So basis size is fine if it is converted into basis reference frame. Okay, we got some. Why is my mouse just like having a dance party? Kinda wish it wouldn't. Okay, we got something compiling. Whoa, whoa! So let's go back to the room. Let's check what actual sizes we get in the debugger, which is still kicking them out here. Okay. Actual size is, do you have to reload the debugging helper literally every time you start debugging? Because that seems like that seems bad. I 100% did not take an absolute. Do you need the absolute? Yeah, because the size is always the size, regardless of if it's positive or negative. The size is still size. Okay, well that's pretty cool. That one's 32. This one's the same. The next one should have Y0. I'm looking at this red thing up at the top. Yeah. And then it should be 32, 32, 0, 32. And then 32, 32, 32, 0. And the same. Okay. That does seem to work, but I did not use that absolute function that I so lovingly crafted. Okay, now we've got some real OG actual sizes. They're very actual. And that's cool, and I'm okay with that. But what can we do with them? Well, we can fix that code I just commented out, because that can now be less broken. But I would need to think about it. There's still the problem. So if it's negative, so if you're moving negative on your axis, it means your position has gone off the bottom. You're down to like negative 16. You want to keep going, which means you should come in at positive 16 on another room, assuming it's 32 size here. Okay, so you want to add something if it's negative. Is it as simple as just adding stuff? In terms of voxels, sure, but what if your first room is like 32 or whatever? You get to negative 16, then the next room is like 40, so you should end up at positive 20. I've maybe rushed into this a bit overly confident. Or have I? Is it something where you like add half of one room and half of another? No, that sounds really silly. Yeah. Okay, let's just try and make this make sense. For it. If your voxel pos x is 0, move the CF, which stood for cascade reference frame, or something, it doesn't really matter. Then we want to set it, move it that way, and then now the room pos is gonna be different, but not totally different. We're gonna, what are we gonna add? See, what are we gonna add to the room pos? I'm so confused. It seems so easy, and then it's not. I mean, in my mind, I feel like maybe you just add like half of one and half of the other or something, or subtract, or whatever, but I'm struggling to see why that would ever generally make sense. So maybe I can reason it out. So intuitively, adding half of one and half of the other seems correct. How would I show it's correct? Or I could just test it. So you're not adding, you're actually subtracting. Let's just go back to Paint and just... Okay, so you're in one... Whoa-wee! You're in a room. It has a size, and you want to go to another room. Also has a size. They're both centered on 0. So this is S1. Well, the whole thing is S1. But let's just measure it in halves. And this is S2. So your coordinate, let's do the positive case first. Your coordinate here is S1 plus a little bit. That's an epsilon. I think that's an epsilon. It's been a long time since I drew an epsilon. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, you're a little bit past here. You're like here. Okay, but now you should be... You should convert to negative S2 plus epsilon. And what you've done there is you've subtracted S1 and S2, which is half of each. Similarly, if you're at negative S1 minus epsilon, then you want to end up, say, you're going off the side and coming back on here. I could rearrange them, but you just have to use your imagination. Then you want to end up at positive S2 minus epsilon. So then what you've done there is add S1 and S2. So yeah, you add half the dimension of the room you're in, then you add half the dimension of the room you're entering, and your coordinate should be correct. So should I do a lambda? Why would I do a lambda? Oh, because I like lambdas. The reason I thought of doing a lambda is because I don't want to have an axis to push. And then say if you're moving like negative x or positive x or negative y, positive y, blah blah blah. Otherwise, don't do anything. I want to determine the code and then call it for whatever. Yeah, let's just do it. Just do lambda. It's probably super inefficient. So how do you do this thing? We're going to move. No, we're not going to move. First, we're going to get half of the size of this room. Okay, how do we do that? Well, it's room actual size. What reference frame is, what are we working with? Room pause, so it's room reference frame. So that axis, if it's positive x or whatever, we need haha, right, let's just say it's passed in because I can't quite see how to do it. So to vec4 of the dimension will give us something that we can do dot with actual size, and we want abs of that I want half of that times 2 vec3 dir. Okay. This seems long-winded. Anyway, what we're going to do here is we're going to do voxel cascade, world, CF, some sort of position. What else does it take? The cell that we want to set, which is the same, and cascade is false. So we just need to work out that position. So I feel like room polish should just get subtracted that. Then we want to move CF by that axis. Now we want to subtract half of something else from it. What are we subtracting this time? It's whatever it has in the same. It's like the dimension. How do you get the dimension? So if it's positive x, we want to get like mx from cf.mx. That's kind of fiddly. Okay, I think this lambda is about to die. Let's just put this, oops, in here. So dir here is negative x. And then we want to just do the same thing for cf.mx. World's room cf side actual size. Oh, everything's a pointer, bro. Okay. I mean, is that correct? I've no. Is it still running? Stop running. Let's just try it. It's only going to work for negative x, so only this direction. That definitely did not work. I guess I should try it in a debugger. This is overly elaborate. I thought this would be a really cool solution. Okay, it is. So room. Oh my gosh! I need to figure out. Reload those debugging helpers. Can you just do that all the time? And so a thing where it's just like, yep. Like, what? Just customization goes in here? I don't know what that means. Yes, yeah, I want to use them, but I always want to use them. Okay, there was no way for it to always do them. But never mind. So our rim pause is negative 15 on the x-axis, and that's why that's voxel pause 0. So we're going to subtract, let's see if I can work this out. We're going to subtract a bunch of stuff from it. We're going to add 16. It did. Then we're going to move negative x. And then we're going to subtract, add another 16. And then we're going to call that again, and it's gonna not work. Okay. Yeah, because I didn't feed the right value in, so that's why I didn't segfault immediately. Let's try that. I think that might be correct now. It actually does the thing I thought it would. Obviously, no other sides do. Yeah, okay. Okay. Now, it might seem like I'm spending forever on, like, voxel setting and trace lines and stuff. Yeah, I've been spending a long time on it, but that's because stuff like this is going to slot into a dozen different places, and I need to get it straight in my head, like, consistent, hopefully elegant. This is not what I would call elegant yet. And then it should all hope like I see moving reference frames. That's nice. That's elegant. Can I adjust the coordinate in the same simple way? Just saying, hey, I'm just adjust this coordinate as you move the reference frame. Maybe do something like this to it. Because then that would be reasonably nice. So it probably works. It probably works for cuboids as well. So absolute of the dot of the vec4 form of the axis that you care about . So the one bit that's a little fiddly, I was just meditating on that for a while. It's good to have a thing. The one bit that's just a touch fiddly is the fact that it has to pull out the mx variable if it's for negative x or positive x. So I can't just stuff it all into like a branchless condition thing. Not quite. Sorry, I'm fiddling with my ass. Right, I can't just show it into a branchless condition-y thing that acts on all axes equally. But I kind of can. Can I? Is that gonna work? Yeah, why wouldn't it? Yeah, it is gonna work. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, so I can at least do that. And those two different coordinates should be different coordinates. Ugh. So this is always going to be contingent on the actual rooms. So I could just make a function that figures out the total difference from changing reference frame in one direction. And that would be fine. Yeah, so I'm kind of overcomplicating some of this. Okay. Well, that's just a side. I don't need to multiply. Then I can do that. Okay, see, is that gonna work? I have definitely got. Yeah, no, I killed that. I killed that real bad. So I want to subtract. Oh yeah, I need to half it. That should now work. Yeah, big algebra. Oh, are they both? So yeah. So if it was just half, so like I don't really need it in a direction. I multiply it through here by 2 vector 3 negative x because I want to actually alter a coordinate. It could be a query of dimension size that doesn't care about that. Also, because we're doing it absolute on both sides, and because that just swaps and flips the two things in question. So if we say, hey, it's negative x, this is really going to be the mx with the side room, and then the side room with the mx thing, but one of them is going to be negated. The side's going to be negated. So, I feel like this should be a very, very fundamental function that we need to do. Adjust a coordinate across different reference frames. It's going to be called frame offset because that's... Why would I just put direction frame? Reference frame. So let's do the frame offset. It's literally just going to be copy pasted from here. Lol. Kind of. Well, let's just copy paste some of this. It's RF. Oh yeah, it definitely needs a world. This is something to do with the world, not just abstract reference frames. Which only convinces me for... Whoa, I hit compile. That's definitely going to be unhappy. Right, go away. Okay. I feel like that's wrong anyway. It should have been a pointer, not a reference. Oh wait, no, pointers and references are kind of the same. Yeah, that was probably fine. So return, okay, half the size. We're gonna need to switch on the dir. Are we? No, I literally just said it should have been a pointer. Because it should have been a pointer. Because then we can bind it to the right thing. So whether it's negative x or positive x, and I have stated them in the opposite way around from how they normally occur, then the target is reference frame mx. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna get. I mean, that's probably a useful function in general. Default is just going to return 0 because stop. Okay, yeah, it could be a constructor. Okay. Okay. Now they get swapped. Do I want to copy the reference frame? I guess I just want to copy the reference frame. So the size, I mean, I can make this smarter later. There, it's going to be world, rooms, reference frame, side, actual size. I hate how... Yeah. Now we're going to move the reference frame by the direction. And then we're going to add the same damn thing. And it's super sad about both of those. Why? It's not constant anymore. I unconstified it. Yeah, get up to speed. Okay. So now we have a frame offset function. So room pause. Reference frame. -x. Is that still gonna work? Apparently. It has some screwy reference frames. One of these should be the X reference frame. Oh, there we go. Ah, but not the other way around. That is why you need to keep them in sync. Let's find the X reference frame of the negative Y room. It's not negative Y, it's zinc negative Z. Oh, there it is. I mean, that seems to work. And is that going to be the same slice of code? Yeah, I just need to figure out whether it's negative Z, X, positive X, or whatnot. Okay, we standardized it. Standardized it, and it works for one dimension where all the numbers are exactly the same, which is definitely a good test case. Yeah, you see, it's still now I want to do it. as a here's my little lambda. You can come back. Silly, probably not performant, but it's nice, isn't it? Look at that. Boom. Oh, look at that. Easy. Already figured out this stuff up here, so I'm tempted to store all of that in booleans and bleh. I'll just live with it. Why don't I just make it into some digestible little things. Little, I mean, it's still kind of ugly. Look at it, it's still repeating a bunch of code. X, Y, Z. Okay. It's less ugly than all of this, which also did not work. And this should work for a cuboid. Maybe. Let's see what happens. Bang! Oh, we already know. Oh! Unbelievable. Okay, that's easy. What about if it's in some weird reference frame? Here. Oh, yeah. Very nice. It seems to work. It's a little on the ugly side. So we know they both that's a slightly more concise form. We already found out if it's on the border. We just need to know if it's direction. So just comparing it to 0. That's kind of nice in comparison. Yeah, it's just more concise. Of course, once again, I'm testing just the most basic test case and being like, yeah, it works. But guess what? Maths has my back in this case, so it does work. Oh, and if I click cross-reference frames, oh, it hangs. Of course it hangs, because while true is just a bad thing to put in general, even if you've proven it's fine, it's still just I don't know. So in this one, we get the push direction back. So now we want to adjust pause. This is the trace line. I'm just completely context switching. Try to keep up. Well, that seemed natural, didn't it? Boy. My weird winking totally got me confused. I was context switching. What? Found it. Okay, so this time we say, whoa, the position. We're going to subtract the frame offset times that. But this variable is called push here, and the reference frame is called result.reference frame. Pause. Is that because it's const ref? Is that literally it? If I just do GP, or does it not have minus equals? So, can I now shoot lines across rooms? Apparently I can. Let me just... I'm definitely in the blue room. Oh, look at that. I'm becoming smug. Because it's cool when stuff works. Oh. It does not end the trace if it goes into the sky. So that hang is actually, you just click anywhere. No, it's if it goes into the sky across rooms. Okay. No, the smugness is gone. I'm still as confused as I ever was. Don't tell anyone. This result is not used. Boom. I would need to run it in the debugger to find out why the trace fails sometimes. But for now, come on, let's see if we can get this to hang. Oh. Ah, hey, there it's hanging. Pause, what are you doing? You're lost, dazed in something. Okay, let's just, it's stuck in a loop. Yeah, we don't care about GLM. We're gonna go across, What is the trace at? Oh, look at this. Reload the damn debugging helpers. Why would you not have them always loaded? So the trace is currently at about a third of the way along. That's cool. Right. What's the voxel pause? Oh, the voxel pause is negative 52. How did that happen? That's wrong. Why would that be negative 52? That's fairly silly. Oh. Okay. So just come in from the start. What's the pause here? It's pretty far out. The line being traced is only very small. And the trace is 1/3 of the way through. Then it converts that to a room position and a line in the room coordinates. Again, that room position is pretty far out. Then start is just a little bit further. It's about 1/3 of the line. That's valid. I guess my question would be, why is that so far out? I'm guessing it's because this is doing the wrong thing sometimes. Is it consistent on what side? So I was in this room, zinc, trying to do stuff to blue room. And that fails. Zinc is negative Z. Did the other negative rooms also cause such a problem? That does. That does as well. Okay, interesting. But that does mean I can make the bug reappear on demand just by doing this. So we're starting. Oh, the debugging helpers. Why? Well, I don't have that set up correctly at all. But now they are. Okay, so the pause is... Yeah, I'm just near the... Actually, I'm nowhere particularly interesting. We have voxel pause from that. The voxel pause is out of bounds. No. No, sorry, it's not. I saw 17 and I thought, well, it's bigger than half of 32. Yeah, but it's just it's just okay. I'm in the middle of the room. Whatever. Who cares? So I think this will be fairly mundane. Move to cell. Okay, the traces move forward. 7%. It's going to have to go through 2 or 3 before it gets to the next room. 11%. 21%. 25%, 26% even. 35%. 39%, or 40% to round properly. 50%, goodness. It's actually just going to execute normally. Intense. 64%. I'm going for it. 68%. Whoa! And the voxel position is now out of bounds. It's gone off the x-axis. The normal is set to positive x, so it's saying push should be negative x. It's pushing off the negative x-axis. Turn false. Okay, so we've got the world result reference frame. And we're pushing negative x. So we're going to convert that to a vec3 and subtract it. So we're expecting to add a whole bunch to P. Is that what it should be doing? I think it should be. Okay, so vec 3 is not actually... Whoa. Oh, I totally went past it. But never mind. And I don't really know what I'm doing. Never mind, we can see the result. P is 31.49 and it used to be negative 50. So it's added 32 to it. Is that too much? Was I near the center of the room? Can I see? I wasn't that close to the center of the room. Oh, but I was on the x-axis. Wait, I'm definitely questioning whether any of this is correct at all. I was near to the center of the room on this direction. So it was going this direction. It will have been the z-axis that should have gone. So obviously this is not going to work from here. It's going to straight away say, hey, you're out of bounds. Normal is just nonsense. And it's going to put you further out of bounds. So to debug it again, bish bash bosh, these debugging helpers, I need to reload them. A lie, seeing as they were never loaded in the first place. So just to clarify, oh, this is to do with the fact that it's in the room basis. Yeah, the room is in negative 10.27. The line is going negative 7. But the original pos, that's the z-axis. So it actually exceeds, according to pos, the original position in the trace's original reference frame. It exceeds it on the z-axis. But what we're getting is the room basis exceeding it on the x-axis. It's getting confused. Okay, so the function we made was not the smoking gun that solved it, but it was very close. I feel like I'm on the cusp of getting this to work, and indeed it does work. I guess when you're in a good reference frame, but it needs to work in every reference frame. So I think next stream we're gonna try and knock this trace line stuff on the head so that it's just done, and then I'll probably implement a really rubbish physics engine, just some blocking stuff using that trace line. Just make sure that you can't move through a wall by tracing your path. Just because it's not, the real physics engine is going to come later. And then I'm going to address some of the rendering, improve that so we can get some models loaded into the scene. Then physics engine. That's the plan. Oh, there's one other thing I want to do in between that. I should really load up my Trello board, which is fix up the check that moves entities to different rooms when they're out of bounds of the room, because that's going to depend on this new frame offset function, and the same for rendering. And then I could maybe make a cuboid, a hypercuboid. But for now, it's probably a good place. I did think of some good stuff and I implemented it, but ultimately it needs a bit more thought before this is exactly correct. These normals are not right. These normals are correct because it undoes that. But that is wrong. So I need to have a think about it, and I'll sleep on it. Every time. That's why I like doing these little, just like an hour a night. And then during the day, I don't think that's the right hand sign. I've been saying the gears turn in my head and I reason things through as I'm going about my daily tasks. Anyway, that's enough. I'm a little bit too fried. I don't mean illegally on substances, I mean just tires. And this is quite cerebral, so calling it right now. See you again. Goodbye.